This video is brought to you by Law Excellence IAS Academy.
Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 26 September 2019. The first article for discussion, an award and unholy tradeoff. This is about the award given to Prime Minister Modi by Gates Foundation, that is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that is Global Gatekeeper Award. So in this context, the author argues between two things. One is freedoms and the second is social goods. So this award is given to Prime Minister Modi for two reasons. One is he was able to build the toilets which are essential for hygiene and health, on which Miss Melinda Gates and Bill Gates Foundation is working. And the second thing is he was able to spearhead development. So the author's arguments are two. Freedoms, can they be compromised for providing certain social goods? So in our context, we can talk about, can fundamental rights and DPSP can conflict with each other, or to give precedence to DPSP, which are meant to fulfill the social goods, can we compromise the freedoms? So in this case, clearly it states that the freedoms can be compromised for the nature of social goods. So this is what we call it as benevolent authoritarianism. Across history, if you observe, any authoritarianism developed with benevolence. There is a phase of benevolence where the materialistic needs of the people are fulfilled by a leader to get the legitimacy. And the second, the development is the buzzword which is meant to replace the freedoms today. If you take Kashmir, development is being sold for lockdown of the Kashmir and abrogation of Article 370. Then what is development? If we take development, it is a multi-headed hydra. It means that it has different perspectives, different definitions, etc. In this case, development can be simply stated as ensuring materialistic progress of the community. But however, the enlightened definition of development is this, that is, enlargement of the freedoms of the citizen. So in this case, between freedoms and social goods, the trade-off was never in balance. In this case, freedoms can never be compromised for providing for certain social goods. That is what the author talks about. Especially, the democratic obligation involves protection of the freedoms, life, liberty, property of the citizens. These are the arguments which are being made by the people over here. And the second, Brexit interrupted. Remember here, Boris Johnson, an advocate of Brexit and Eurosceptic, after becoming the Prime Minister, made the things much chaotic. Now, United Kingdom is expected to go out of European Union without a proper deal. Then obviously its future trade relations, everything are going to be in trouble. So in this case, the UK Supreme Court has given a judgment, then which is kind of a stroke to Mr. Boris Johnson. Any prorogation of the Parliament, it declared as unconstitutional. In this scenario, the Brexit, what direction it is going to take, is the second referendum is going to come on this. That is $1 million question. So the best way forward, according to me, is to go for second referendum. Now, already the Brexit protagonists, they lose the legitimacy because they are unable to find a clear road. The next article, the real deal. So we want to go for a free trade agreement with United States of America. Before we go for that, we wanted to have a limited trade agreement. In this limited trade agreement, what United States is asking is to reduce tariffs on various kinds of mobile phones and also medical devices. There are bigger issues like intellectual property rights, H-1B visas, and added to that e-commerce. These all comes at a later stage. As of now, we are talking about a limited term agreement. So this limited trade agreement goes against the norms of the WTO, and also it is meant to push push Trump's candidacy for 2020 elections. The reason is like this. Mr. Trump is in a bitter trade war with China. And China has imposed the tariffs in such a way that the domestic constituency of Trump gets worst affected. In this case, Trump has to find an alternative way out, and he is looking towards India. And India is about to come into an economic downturn, and India is not in a position to provide for the necessary leeway Trump is looking for. In this context, there will be no much takeaways or takeouts for Trump from this particular deal. That's why the deal did not move forward. The next article, different piece in different parts. IT-BT. So we cannot talk both of them as similar. Information technology, it was able to create a win-win situation for both West and East. The low-cost human resources in India were able to put in use for globalizing the information technology revolution. On the other hand, biotechnology cannot be compared with IT on the criteria of employment generation. The reason is the biotechnology can only be successful if we keep investments in science. So, the science or foundational science or basic science investments are important for something called applied sciences. So, biotechnology is an applied science. Second, in India, the research requires a lot of infrastructure. So the infrastructure is available only in the public sector. It is not open for the private sector. There is no continuity between public and private sector, research and industry. If we can create industry and public sector continuum, then this is going to be a win-win situation. The fourth is the BT research is more expensive. So committing the funds to it is important. In this context, China is an example which is able to commit funds to research facilities which have improved 5 times over 2 decades. So in India, the research funds earmarked to biotechnology are increasing, but they are not remarkable. So in this case, IT grew up in the market environment as the resource investment is not comparable to BT. On the other hand, BT needs freedom and quality of work, and added to that, public sector support to grow big. That is what the author is trying. Glitches after the glitch. This is about Mr. Trump and Modi, how the Modi session in Houston, Texas. In this case, both showed a united front to the people, but still the differences are very much high. You can see them on trade deal. The limited trade deal did not move forward for the simple reason that both the countries failed to find a common ground. And the second, the bonhomie due to the growing rightist environment across the globe, and also the free trade agreement is both the countries are inconvenient about it because India is being removed from generalized system of preferences which India wants to get in, and US wants to show that it's a hard nut to be cracked, or it is not going to provide an easy deal for India. And the next is with regard to political matters, Mr. Trump, who praised Prime Minister Modi and his approach towards Kashmir, at the same time when he met the Imran Khan, he has stated the Prime Minister's speech is too aggressive. And the second is he again reiterated that he wanted to mediate on Kashmir, which is against the India's policy. The next article is Live and Let Live In. So this is about Rajasthan State Human Rights Commission, which has equated live-in relations with a derogatory word that is called concubine. So concubine here means a woman who is in a relationship without legitimacy. It means a married man, if having a relationship outside his marriage, then it is comparable to concubine. So live-in relationships, why these are growing in India first place? We have lot of endogamy within jati. It means caste-based endogamy is prevalent in India. Any marriage outside the caste is condemned by the society, and the way out for the couple to live together is only through live-in. And the second, the section 377 though read out, still there is a lot of stigma in Indian society. So in this context, people who are homosexuals, if they have to live together without societal sanctions, the possibility is live-in relationship. In this case, the rights of the partners in live-in relationships and their responsibilities, that's how the discussion has to go on, rather than condemning the live-in relationships. And the second thing is, the Prevention of Domestic Violence Act, this clearly stated that any kind of relationship that gets equated with marriage also can come under the purview of the law. It means the live-in relationships also can come under legally under the purview of Domestic Violence Act. So, in this context, the words which are being spoken by Human Rights Commission of Rajasthan are more paternalistic, and they are more expecting the woman to favor the societal will or to stand to the societal expectation. So, not to cross the societal limitations. That's how it can be stated. The meaning of oneness in one nation. What is meant by this oneness? So recently, Home Minister stated one nation, one language. Here, oneness is not just majority or minority, which is not quantitative. Oneness is qualitative. Oneness is qualitative means what Mr. Narayana Guru stated. Oneness means Manava Jati, that is humanity, oneness of humanity. And then godliness, oneness where human mixes with God. So, where human becomes godly, that is what is oneness. So, the virtues of human makes him God. So, oneness means irrespective of our identities, differences, we all shall live together. That is the meaning of oneness, which this article states. And the next, higher education bill in winter session. As of now, the higher education regulation in India is very fragmented. UGC, AICTE, all these are regulating higher education. University Grants Commission, the universities in India. AICTE, technical education. In the place of this, an higher education council is expected to come up, and the bill is coming up in this winter. Impeachment inquiry against Trump begins. President Trump, what he did is he called to Ukrainian president to look or provide some sensitive information against Joe Biden's son, Mr. Hunter Biden, who was the vice president during Obama era. So now Joe Biden, he himself was in race for Democratic candidacy in this election. So in all probability, Joe Biden is expected to become a Democratic candidate. So to take an advantage, he has used he has used the office of the President of United States of America to further his political career. On this context, the Democrats are moving an impeachment motion in the House of Representatives. After that, it is need to be approved by Senate with 2/3 members to get a president impeached. Till now, no US president got impeached because the impeachment motion was never passed through Senate. This is the procedure which has been stated over here. In the next article, Modi pitches for India's NSG entry. Here, NSG stands for Nuclear Suppliers Group. It is it enjoys monopoly over the nuclear material trade. And in this context, India has got NSG waiver, but India is still not a member of NSG. In this, India is trying to import nuclear reactors from United States. Our Westinghouse, which is and GE, which are the US corporations, are building the nuclear reactors in India. But without nuclear fuel, they are not of much use. So unless we become the members of the NSG, we will not get the freedom to get nuclear fuel. But what is the objection raised by China in this context? India is not a signatory of Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. That is the objection of China. Thunberg, 3 others win Alternative Nobel. This Alternative Nobel is also called Right Livelihood Award. So, in women, Swedish climate activist Mr. Greta Thunberg has won this particular award. So, these are the articles for today. Thank you very much.